Hey everybody, we are live and I am here with my good friend Madeline Stout. Madeline, she runs Profit Panda and is one of the best accountants, fractional CFOs, and bookkeepers I know. I know her clients are always organized when they come over to me. So, Madeline, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Um,
We appreciate you. You give us a much needed service.
so, talk to us a little bit, or what we wanted to do is we wanted to talk to everybody listening about the foundation workshop. And here's why. A lot of times when you go to a big coaching event or you go to a seminar, you don't actually know what you're going to get, right? There's very little actionable results except to hear a bunch of people speak, which is great. That could motivate you, it could teach you something you don't already know. Um, but you don't have a deliverable, right? And so what we wanted to do is put on something that there is actually deliverables, right? So one of the biggest things that I see and I notice from all entrepreneurs is that a lot of entrepreneurs have a hard time separating their business and their personal credit. And what happens is they use their personal credit to finance the business, which lowers their personal credit score, which limits the amount of business financing options that somebody can take. And so instead of basically just having another speaking event, I wanted to throw something that would actually help people and they would get that deliverable. And so that's why we came up with the foundation workshop. We're going to build someone's business credit live on the spot. We are going to help them unlock massive access to capital in the future by just changing a couple things in their business. And we're going to talk to them about increasing their sales with referrals, reviews, and partnerships. We have 3 speakers. I'm super excited for it. And Madeline is probably going to be going to our first one. So we're super excited. So
have to check it out. Yeah.
I love it. So Madeline, what questions, talk to me. What questions do you have about the event?
I mean, honestly, I feel like this conversation has been a long time coming. We've worked closely for, I think, well over a year, if not more at this point, on well over a dozen probably client files. And it's honestly it's been a really great partnership. We appreciate your team. I appreciate you, shouting us out there. But ultimately, we do continually hit the same roadblocks, right? It may be a different client, but we've got the same problems that happen over and over and over. And you did a really good job kind of summarizing that. But long story short, to everyone who's watching, I reached out to Jonathan, working with a partner client of ours, and the conversation of business credit versus using your personal credit to co-sign, a lot of business owners are reluctant to do that. That's why we have protections with an LLC. That's why we try to, what I call, protect the house as much as possible and not have to collateralize any of your own personal assets and really keep those housed under the business. From an accounting perspective, we get entrepreneurs coming to us all the time saying, maybe they need access to working capital. And as an accountant, I would say I'm relatively conservative. I like having a lot of cash on hand, but I do think that debt is appropriate at times, especially if it leverages a good ROI. So, some of those preliminary conversations that we're having with clients after we get their numbers in order is, what are we utilizing the debt for? What's the purpose? We're not using it to float overhead. We're not getting, loans to try to make payroll. But if we're looking to really grow, expand, especially with our construction and home service clients, getting fleet and access to equipment, it's the cost of doing business. They really do need that in order to run these projects. But again, that kind of, we circle the same problem, which is if we're a new up and coming business, how do we build that business credit? So I would say my first question that might segue well into the conversation is, if I'm a brand new business owner, how do I get started? I have my LLC open. Maybe I've been in business for a couple of years and I have a profit. I'm looking to buy, that first piece of equipment. Where do you recommend that we start?
I love that. That's a great question. So, believe it or not, this workshop, we're going to have homework. And not everybody is going to be able to attend because we are going to be selective with who we pick. And so one of the things that we have people do is complete the 5 fundability factors before they even get there. which is have a business phone number, a business email, a business address, a business bank account, and then have all of those things listed on one business website. And then you're going to take that and we're going to input it into Dun & Bradstreet. And once we have that, we'll populate what's called a DMB number. And from there, we can take that DMB number and start actually applying directly to people that are going to offer business credit. Business credit works very similar to personal credit, except with business credit, only 7% of the companies report. And by the way, that 7% changes. Okay. So you have to be intentional about building it. So you have to go know the companies that actually report, establish trade lines, use those trade lines, and then go out and build and get more business credit. And business credit will really help when you need to get terms from suppliers. It will help separate your business and personal credit. It'll make your company more valuable. And it really helps when it comes to getting equipment financing, SBA loans, and any type of transaction over $250,000.
Okay. So I've tried going down this kind of on my own, and I followed, similar steps. I went online, I signed up for the account. They have multiple different suites whenever you do apply for that Dun & Bradstreet. Some of it's a little bit sales pitchy. You don't know exactly how much to trust, how much not to trust. But when I did go through that process, the representative that I worked with really advised that I take some of my bills, like my business bills, and reach out proactively to some of the vendors to have them report to business credit. So how much proactive work should a business owner be doing to try to bump up their business credit score versus how much kind of happens automatically as you start applying for these loans?
That's very smart. So that's a great question. Business credit doesn't really happen passively, right? It's something that you have to actively work on. And so when we get everyone, we give them homework to do before coming to the workshop. That's just so we have a baseline so we can actually start doing the work itself. And I'll tell you, when you sign up to Dun & Bradstreet, it is intentionally confusing. And they're always trying to sell you something. Usually they're trying to sell you a package for anywhere between $3,000 and $5,000. And that's normally what we charge to do it. So someone can actually come into the workshop, get their business credit built for half price, and then still have a one-on-one strategy session, still unlock massive access to capital and everything else for half the price it would normally cost you to build your business credit. It's a no-brainer.
Right.
But it is a lot of work. And I do anticipate that once everyone goes back, you will be speaking with the expert on, hey, what should I do here? What should I do there? And we're going to help you guys continue to build that, because the biggest thing I care about is getting results for the people that have faith and trust in us. And if you can do that, you can build an amazing business. It doesn't matter what vertical, what industry, you just have to treat people well and get them the results that they need. And I think one of the biggest problems I see today is everyone oversells and underdelivers,
Right.
instead of over-delivering and under-promising.
Yeah, that's a great point. My last question on this, and I kind of want to transition to talking about one other thing. So Dun & Bradstreet, they kind of claim to have some competitors. That's going to be like your Experian Business Credit and so on and so forth. What's your opinion on that? Is there any skin in the game that could help with financing, or what's your thoughts with those other platforms?
So for the most part, it's like there's 3 credit bureaus, right, for personal credit: TransUnion, Equifax, Experian.
Right.
The reality is most banks for business lending use Experian. Almost all banks use DMB and their Paydex. Okay. I don't see Experian really entering the market too big. And if they do, it's probably going to mirror exactly what DMB is doing. They don't really change that too much. So as long as we build it on one and it's the most common one, that's what matters.
Love it. So I know we're kind of rounding the 10-minute mark. I don't know how long you want to make this, but the one thing I just want to touch on, we're going to be doing some more of these if anyone is watching right now, because we like these topics of conversation, at least from my side of the house, are super frequently asked questions. And so when I do start to work with Jonathan, whether it be on a mutual client file or even for myself personally, we've had conversations about how to kind of help with at the rate that Profit Panda is growing. Some of those preliminary pieces of information that we should kind of have on hand. I know that you talked about having the website and the phone number and the EIN, the business bank account, whenever we're building business credit. When it comes to kind of taking that next step, a lot of the documents that you tend to ask my firm for are, 6 months worth of bank statements and similar information. Do you mind just like maybe quickly recapping the items that folks should have on hand once they start building their business credit?
Oh, absolutely. So you're going to need the 5 fundability factors, and you want to have your Dun & Bradstreet essentially set up. You don't have to pay for it. It's free. But all you need to do is have the basic information, because then what we're going to do is we're going to take that and then we're going to work on applying at those 7% of companies, and we're going to make sure everyone understands how the process works. Right? It's very similar to when we were in college. Citi would hand out $500 credit cards to anyone that could breathe. Okay? Well, business credit's going to work very similar. A couple companies are going to give easy access to credit, and then once we get the easy ones, we can go and apply for some of the harder ones. And then it's really up to the operators. What was it called? Discretion. Okay, how they use it, but they should be using it, paying it back, and then every 3 to 6 months asking for an increase. And so as long as you do that, you're going to get access to more capital, and you're going to have access to a higher business credit score, which is huge. And then a couple of things that we want to review prior to the workshop is we have a list of detailed questions. Has to get answered. No one would even be considered without answering those, because we want to know what you want to get out of it, where you're trying to take the business, so we can help get you there. And just some of the documents we'll need is exactly what you mentioned, Madeline. We're going to need a 1-page application, probably 12 months of business bank statements, 2 months of payment processing statements, 2 years of business tax returns, and year-to-date financials. And from that basic package, we can run everything through the same software as the banks use and come back with real feedback and show you exactly how the bank views your business and what you need to do to put your business in the best light to unlock that capital.
Love it. I'm super excited for your workshop coming up. I know my client base is going to get a ton out of it. I think even me personally, I'm going to get a ton out of it. Super, super valuable information that you're giving away for almost free, basically. At this point, it pays for itself. So, and then, really, I have to go to Florida? Poor me. I'm going to have to vacation to Florida.
It's terrible. It doesn't look that good now, but it's not terrible. And behind all those trees, there's actually a private lake. So the house, or our new office,
so come suffer with us is what we're saying.
Yeah, come suffer.
Yeah, we're super excited. Thank you so much for answering my questions. I'm excited for some of the upcoming videos that we have on the docket. We're going to be talking about Profit First. We're going to be talking about SBA. We're going to be talking about all things money and financing. So excited for what we got in store.
Yeah, and please, everybody, set your calendars to this time, because we're going to do this weekly, and we're going to touch on topics that no one really talks about. And the people that do talk about it don't even have the experience doing it. They literally just rip stuff off on some website. So we're going to go into all the nitty gritty, everything you need to know to grow your business and to keep your books in order. Okay. To make sure that you're not paying the government too much in taxes. So that's not really my wheelhouse. That's Madeline's wheelhouse. So when we combine to do these calls, we're going to get you guys everything you need to make sure that your business nets the most money for you as possible.
Yeah, love it. All right, we'll catch you guys on the next one. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Madeline. Take care, everybody.